All right, let's dive into one of the absolute coolest parts of storyboarding, making action feel real. I mean, how do you actually tell an AI to create those dynamic, powerful sequences that just pop right off the screen? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. So, take a look here. On the left, you've got a fight scene. Sure, it gets the point across, but you don't really feel it, right? Now, look at the image on the right. That's what we're talking about. It's got energy, force, it's clear. And the difference between these two? It's all in the prompt. In this explainer, we're going to show you exactly how to get from that before to that after.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with the big challenge everyone faces. Then we'll cover the 3 core principles of motion. From there, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of prompting for dynamic effects, learn how to choreograph whole scenes, and we'll wrap it all up with a super useful prompt library you can start using immediately.
You know, the main job of any storyboard artist is to somehow make a bunch of still images feel like they're moving. We're talking fights, chases, you name it. This is where AI can be an absolute game changer, but only if you know how to talk to it, how to guide it with the right language.
To get those great results, we first have to understand the foundations that animators have been using for decades. So let's look at 3 principles that are, and I mean this, the absolute bedrock of any great action sequence, whether you're drawing it by hand or generating it with an AI.
First up, readable silhouettes. Now this idea is so simple, but it is so powerful. Basically, if you can't tell what's happening when your character is just a solid black shape, then the pose just isn't strong enough. The best animators think in shapes first, details second. A clear silhouette? It's non-negotiable.
And here's a perfect example. See the before image? It's just a jumbled mess. You can't really tell where the arms and legs are. But that after silhouette, it's totally unmistakable. You see the direction, you feel the force, you get the intent. That is what you're prompting for, a clear, readable silhouette with limbs separated. Next up, we have clear motion arcs. Think about it. Nothing in the real world moves in a perfectly straight line. Everything, every action follows a curve or an arc. In animation, we're not drawing every single frame. We're drawing the key poses along that arc. So your job is to tell the AI exactly which powerful pose you want within that action's journey.
And finally, the impact frame. This is the moment of truth, you know? The punch landing, the swords clashing. To really sell the power, we don't just show the contact. Oh no, we exaggerate it with smears, distortions, all kinds of visual effects. It's that one single frame that makes the audience feel the hit.
Okay, so we've got the principles down. Let's get tactical. How do we actually tell the AI to create that feeling of motion? We use something called dynamic indicators. These are the specific keywords and ideas that translate real-world physics into pixels on your screen.
We're going to focus on 4 key tools in our prompting toolkit here: speed lines, motion blur, smear frames, and ghosting. Each one tells a different part of the story of movement, and getting these down will absolutely level up your action storyboards.
Let's start with a classic, speed lines. They're so simple but incredibly effective for showing direction and speed. And when you're prompting, just remember this: more lines equals more speed. A ton of lines tells us it's moving crazy fast, while just a few gentle lines suggest something a little slower.
Next up is motion blur. This is perfect for anything moving so fast it just becomes a streak. The real secret here is contrast. You can prompt for, say, a character's fist to be totally motion blurred while the rest of their body stays sharp. It's that contrast that really sells the incredible speed of that punch.
Now for a most extreme tool, the smear frame. This isn't just a blur. This is a complete, wild distortion of an object at its absolute fastest moment. Imagine a character whipping their head around so fast, their face literally stretches across the frame for a split second. It's one single powerful image that just screams peak velocity.
And finally, we have multiple position ghosting. This is your go-to for showing the entire path of an action in just one image. So instead of just one pose, you'd prompt for multiple see-through ghost images of a sword as it swings through its arc. It's a beautiful way to show the animators the full path of the motion.
Okay, so we've got our individual tools. The real fun starts when we combine them. So how do we choreograph entire scenes? Let's break down some classic action moments to see how all these pieces come together.
Let's take a simple punch. It's not just one image. It's a 4-part story. First, you've got the anticipation, the wind-up, coiling all that energy. Second, the contact. That's our big impact frame.
Third is the follow-through, showing how the force moves through the target. And finally, the recovery. You prompt for each of these moments to build the full sequence.
You know, chase scenes have a similar storytelling rhythm. You always start wide to establish who's chasing who. Then you cut in closer for a medium shot to ramp up the urgency, showing that the gap is closing. You create excitement with obstacles, and you build that nail-biting suspense with a near miss, usually in an extreme close-up. It's all about building that tension, shot by shot.
Now for something really fun, explosions. Just like any good story beat, they have a beginning, middle, and end. And it all starts with the pre-explosion. That quiet, super tense moment right before it all goes sideways. Maybe a little spark, a soft glow. That's how you build anticipation.
Then, you get the initial blast. Here, we're prompting for the explosion to burst from a single central point. You want a bright core and a visible shockwave pushing out. This is what shows that first violent release of energy.
And this is our impact frame, the full explosion. Here, you prompt for a massive fireball that just fills the entire screen. We want an intensely bright core, debris flying everywhere, and just an overwhelming sense of raw power. This is the peak moment.
And of course, every good explosion needs an aftermath. The energy's gone, now we see the settling smoke, the dust, the crater left behind. This final shot is what really sells the true scale and destructive power of what we just saw. Whew, we have covered a lot of ground. So to make all of this super practical, we've put together a little cheat sheet. Think of this as your go-to action prompt library to get you started.
This table basically puts everything we just talked about into one place. See, for a high-speed punch, you're going to want to combine motion blur, speed lines, and a readable silhouette. For weapon swing, you'll use ghosting, and you'll specify the motion arc. Just think of this as your starting point for building some really complex, powerful prompts.
And that pretty much wraps up our deep dive. We went from the basic principles all the way to specific tools and choreographing entire sequences. You now have everything you need to start creating some incredible action. So, I guess the only question left is, what epic scene are you going to bring to life first?